America's going to become Hungary, because look what Viktor Orban did. He controlled the courts and the judiciary.
Oh, my Yorkzog. So let's talk about it. If you follow me or if you're on my page, you're probably one of the people that is already aware that the treatment of the Roma people throughout Europe is not great, historically. The treatment of Roma also ties into what Orban. This ties into this article from 2020 about Orban's next move, overpowering the court. The case that they wanted to try and overturn was the court decision awarding compensation to Roma victims of school segregation in the town of... I'm not even going to attempt that. One of the ways that they were trying to stir up public support for this was to say that the Hungarian school children were the real victims, not the Roma school children. Until now, Orban and his ruling Fidesz party have been content to whip up opposition to manufactured external enemies, the European Union, George Soros, migrants, in order to tighten their grip on the levels of power. Now they are manufacturing enemies from among the country's own citizens, and stirring anti-Roma racism is probably the easiest method they would choose. Manufacturing enemies from among the country's own citizens sounds a little familiar. If they manage to overturn this, they can set a precedent and continue to overturn other decisions. And of course, they've used the tactic of sending out misleading information. And yeah, people protested. A lot of Hungarians aren't cool with it. And yeah, people protested. There are a lot of Hungarians that are not cool with this. I also appreciate that this article points out, quote, the regime's motives are born of fear. For the US, I'd probably add incompetence and fear, but anyway. Hungarians are asking the hard questions. Why have a historically high number of Hungarians left the country? Why do Hungarians deserve rapidly worsening public health services? Why do Hungarian children deserve an education system that, in the last decade, has plummeted from 37th to 96th position out of 138 countries ranked by the World Economic Forum? This article also points out that going after the Roma is part of a playbook that was written roughly a decade ago. You know, it's just weird how that sounds familiar too. Unfortunately, it did lead to certain... And unfortunately, this caused the unaliving of 6 Roma. At the time, German Chancellor Merkel said that racism is a poison. As far as the interconnectivity of Hungary, Germany, and the EU, I'll kind of let you draw your own conclusions on that because there's a lot of different things at play. However, Merkel and Commission President Ursula von der Leyen must make clear that their definition of the European way of life is not the same as that promoted by Orban and other like-minded politicians like Italian far-right leader Matteo Salvini. Hate has no place in the European way of life. Feel free to pause and read above because... TikTok. Another thing that might sound familiar, Fidesz has been breaking every social and institutional check on its power, and we all know where that leads. I grew up under Slobodan Milosevic regime in Serbia, where the catastrophic consequences of that dictatorship will last for generations. I also appreciate the little bit of hope at the end. The window of opportunity may be closing for Hungary, but this is no time for defeatism. If the Roma could lead thousands of people to last Sunday's protest, those with much more power can use it to help Hungary become a true democracy again. Orban's regime is also responsible for this, but I think you get the picture.